Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show.
Cup of Joe Wrestling Show?
With Joey Harris. A podcast for the wrestling fan on the go. So take your favorite beverage of choice and join Joey as he takes a look at some of the biggest shows on the WWE Network.
Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show. I am your host, Joey Harris, and we are broadcasting from makeshift studios in the shadow of South Central Virginia. You can follow the show's Twitter at Cup of Joe Pod. You can email the show at cupofjoewrestlingshow@gmail.com. If you would like to support the show, you can at paypal.me/cupofjoepod. I'm also on Venmo and Cash App at The Joey Harris. And it is summertime, and that means it's time for the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show annual. Folks, this is annual number 4, and today we look at the David Von Erich Memorial Parade of Champions. The Parade of Champions took place on May the 6th, 1984 from Texas Stadium in Irving, Texas. There were 32,123 in attendance. We start out with our intro. Mark Lawrence welcomes us to Texas Stadium. Kelly Kaniski and Johnny Mantell fought to a time limit draw in a dark match. We start out with our mixed tag team match of Jimmy Garvin and Precious versus Chris Adams and Sunshine. Gino Hernandez grabs the mic and runs down the card in the crowd for not being on the card. He then runs down Adams and Garvin and leaves the ring. That was weird. Adams and Sunshine tear Garvin's ring jacket in half. Adams and Garvin start. They lock up and trade moves. Adams with a sunset flip. Garvin cuts off a tag attempt. Garvin with a headlock, Adams with a shoulder block, double clothesline, and both men are down. Adams with a super kick and Sunshine tagged in. She brings Precious in by catapulting her over the ropes to the crowd's delight. She then catapults her into the corner. Sunshine scratches and claws. Garvin tagged in. Adams suplexes Garvin in from the apron and gets a 2 count. Adams with a leg drop for a 2 count. Garvin guillotines Adams into the corner. He does it again, and Adams is bleeding. Adams reverses a piledriver attempt and tags Sunshine in. She goes after Precious, and Garvin trips Sunshine. All 4 in and brawling. Adams is thrown out, and Garvin holds Sunshine for Precious to slap. Adams back in and pins Garvin, but you don't see it because the focus is on Sunshine throwing Precious out. Precious hits Sunshine with a loaded purse, and Precious and Garvin bail. Sunshine takes off after them and tackles Precious. Precious gets away, and she and Garvin run. Butch Reed versus Chick Donovan. The bell rings and they lock up. They push off. Reed is berating Donovan. Donovan attempts a scoop slam, but can't get Reed up. Donovan with a drop kick and a chin lock. Reed gets to the ropes. Donovan with a side headlock takeover. Reed gets to his feet. Donovan with a side headlock. Test of strength. Reed with an elbow. Reed batters Donovan and throws him out. Reed with a kick to keep Donovan out. Donovan comes back with a series of shots, back and forth. Reed with a military press. Reed gets the pin with a splash. The Great Kabuki with Gary Hart versus Kamala with Skandor Akbar and Friday. It takes a while to get started. Kabuki sprays green mist in the air. Kamala attacks Kabuki, back and forth. Kabuki with kicks to get Kamala down. They lock up. Kamala with a bear hug. Kabuki fights to get out. He does temporarily, but Kamala gets the hold back on. They trade shots after Kabuki gets out. Kamala with a nerve hold. He gets Kabuki down by the hair. Kabuki back to his feet. Kabuki comes back with a flurry of offense. Kamala with a series of chops. Kabuki with a thrust kick. And Hart and Akbar get into it at ringside. Hart runs Friday into the ring post as Akbar gets on the apron. Hart and Akbar both in the ring, and Hart stomps Akbar down in the corner as the bell rings. Officials in to break it up. Both men are disqualified. The Junkyard Dog versus the Missing Link with Skandor Akbar. Link tries to jump JYD before the bell, but gets knocked to the outside by JYD. Link throws a chair into the ring, but JYD gets it and hits Link with it. Link to the outside. Link gets back in and headbutts JYD to no effect. JYD responds with a headbutt of his own. Back and forth. JYD with a series of headbutts. Link with an elbow. Link goes up top, but JYD moves out of the way. Akbar interferes. He grabs JYD's leg as Link hits the diving headbutt to get the pin. Referee Bronco Lubitsch comes in and disputes the call, and JYD is declared the winner. Link and Akbar go crazy over the announcement. NWA American Tag Team Championship match. The Super Destroyers 1 and 2 with Skandor Akbar versus Iceman King Parsons and Buck Zumhoff. Who liked Zumhoff? Even before you found out he was the scum of the earth. I mean, who liked this guy? I just don't know how he just kept getting work. Anyway, the Super Destroyers are the Irwin brothers, Scott and Bill Irwin. Zumhoff and Destroyer 2 start. Zumhoff with a series of arm drags. Destroyer 1 tagged in. Parsons tagged in. Parsons hits a knee lift. Parsons follows it up with an armbar. Parsons runs the Super Destroyers out to the floor. Destroyer 2 tagged in. They trade shots. Parsons with a headbutt. Zumhoff and Destroyer 1 tagged in. Zumhoff with the version of the acid drop. Zumhoff with a sunset flip for a 2 count. Zumhoff goes back to the sunset flip. Zumhoff with a side headlock. Destroyer 2 comes back. Destroyer 1 tagged in. He hits a drop kick and a backdrop. Destroyer 1 with a headlock. They trade moves. Destroyer 2 tagged in. He drops a knee for a 2 count. Destroyer 2 misses a drop kick and Parsons tagged in. He cleans house. All 4 men in. The faces with a double sunset flips for 2 counts. Parsons hits the butt bump to get the pin. We have new America's Tag Team Champions. We then get the debut of the Badstreet USA video. 6-man tag championship match. The Freebirds Michael Hayes, Terry Gordy, and Buddy Roberts versus Fritz, Kevin, and Mike Von Erich. The Von Erichs get a tremendous ovation when they come out. This is a come-as-you-are street fight. Freebirds attack the Von Erichs as they get to the ring. Von Erichs come back, and the crowd comes unglued. Freebirds bail out to the floor. Roberts and Kevin start. Kevin with a corner whip, and it is breaking loose early. Kevin with a series of kicks to Roberts. Mike tagged in and works over the leg of Roberts. Roberts fighting to get out. Hayes tagged in, but misses a fist drop when Mike moves. Fritz tagged in. All 6 are now in as Fritz takes off his belt. He whips Hayes to the delight of the crowd. Kevin and Gordy tagged in. Gordy beating on Kevin. Fritz comes in and hits Gordy. Kevin with quarter-mounted punches. Gordy blocks a claw attempt. Hayes tagged in and attacks Kevin with a boot. Kevin ran into Gordy's boot, and Roberts tagged in. Fritz tagged in. Fritz cleaning house on the Freebirds. He puts the claw on Hayes and Gordy. Gordy hits Fritz with Gordy's boot. Fritz and Mike run the Freebirds together. Kevin hits a crossbody on Robert to get the pin, and the Von Erichs are the new 6-man tag team champions. Killer Khan comes out to attack the Von Erichs. Mark Lawrence calls him a huge Oriental, and we have reached the cringe portion of our program. Kerry comes in to even things up. Main event for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Ric Flair versus Kerry Von Erich. Flair comes out first looking all business. Tom Sawyer hits, and the crowd goes wild. They then switch to Texas When I Die. I'm sure it was originally Heaven Needed a Champion. Kerry's extremely popular with the crowd. They are crowning him and grabbing him. He makes it to the ring. The disqualification rule is waived, which means if Flair gets disqualified, he loses his title. No time limit. Kerry's ring jacket says in memory of David. The referee is David Manning, and they are face to face as he goes over the rules and presents the belt. They lock up and drive to the ropes. They break. Back and forth. They vie for position. Kerry with a side headlock. Flair pushes off, and Kerry hits a drop kick. Flair backs off. They circle each other again. Kerry with a side headlock into an armbar. Flair gets to the corner and chops Kerry. They trade blows. Flair rolls out briefly to regroup. Flair chops Kerry again. He throws Kerry out. Kerry comes back with a sunset flip for a 2 count. Kerry reverses a corner whip and gets the sleeper on. Flair with a belly-to-back suplex to break the hold. Flair drops a knee on Kerry. Flair with a suplex for a 2 count. Kerry with an abdominal stretch. Flair hip locks out. Kerry drops a knee on Flair. Flair runs into the claw. Flair goes down to his knees. Flair with a gut shot to get out. Flair goes up top, but gets caught and thrown off. So take a shot if you're drinking at home, folks. Flair begging off. Kerry with a corner whip. Flair with a snapmare, and he goes for the figure 4. Kerry keeps kicking Flair off. Kerry gets a backslide to get the pin and become the new NWA champion. The crowd goes wild. Kerry holds the belt high. Wrestlers come out to congratulate Kerry. Flair is livid. Flair tells Kerry that he will be back. Kerry celebrates and then he leaves. He greets and hugs his mother and father. Mark Lawrence then signs off from Texas and we get our end credits. Final thoughts. A historic show with the right ending. Kerry would lose the title back to Flair in Japan 18 days later. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TheJoeyHarris. If you like the show, please leave a review on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, or your preferred podcast app. I would really appreciate it. We can also be found on Spotify and YouTube. Just search for The Cup of Joe Wrestling Show and don't forget to hit subscribe. Thank you for joining me this week. This is Joey saying so long from the heart of Virginia.
The Cup of Joe Wrestling Show is a production of Baby Kangaroo Media.